Hey everybody, this is Charles Garrett, and I'm the president of the Information Systems Security Association, and I'm here to tell you about LinkedIn. Today we're going to be discussing a very important tool that you can use to help market yourself online. I'll also provide you with great ways to utilize LinkedIn effectively so that you can gain employment within the IT field or any specific field that you're interested in. So let's go ahead and step right in. So what is LinkedIn? LinkedIn is one of the world's largest networks of over 12 million users and is growing rapidly. How can LinkedIn actually benefit you? LinkedIn provides a free opportunity to market yourself online. It helps you to develop a professional presence. It helps you to find jobs when you graduate. And most importantly, you're able to meet professionals in your field of interest. So what do you need to do in order to set up a profile on LinkedIn? What you need to do is you need to focus on the particular field of IT that you're interested in. Then from there you brainstorm the different jobs that you're actually interested in. And from there you develop a target audience that would be particularly interested in hiring you for that particular position. And what is a target audience? A target audience consists of titles of people with the ability to hire you and companies that you would work for. So we go out and we create an account, and so we visit linkedin.com and filling out your current information, your work history, your education, and other extracurricular activities such as student organizations, nonprofit work, and clubs and organizations like the Information Systems Security Association, or AITS, as well, which are great organizations to get involved in if you're an IT student or professional. You also want to ensure that your LinkedIn profile has a professional picture. The best recommendation I would recommend is to get a suit and tie picture, really nice tie and a nice suit to go over it, to cover it up. And you also want to make sure that once you get that, you want to get what's called a vanity URL. And a vanity URL is at the end of the linkedin.com, you have a /in/ and then your name right there. And so that will be an easy way that recruiters and other people can see and access your profile. So there's a few things you want to remember as you're developing this profile, which is a thing called SEO. And SEO is search engine optimization. And so LinkedIn is actually set up through keywords to be able to find your profile. So the most keywords that you have for your particular position will actually help you to get more noticed. And also, LinkedIn is more about quality versus quantity. You want to make sure that you're making strong contacts with people that will actually help you versus just having tons of contacts that may not necessarily help you in getting the job that you specifically are interested in. And also, the big point that I want to stress is for everyone to realize that LinkedIn is not a single solution to professional development. And it's most importantly a tool that you can use that will help you to gain employment. So starting from the top, you'll see once you develop a LinkedIn profile, you have a headline. And what you want to focus on is developing what's called an elevator pitch, which is about 150. You have about 150 characters that you can utilize for the headline. And what you'll do is create an elevator pitch that will reflect something that you actually do, what you like to do. It can be derived from anything that you're currently doing through student organizations, what you're studying, and other activities. So for an example for this seminar, I actually created one real quick, which is helping nonprofits to educate the local community about digital citizenship and identity theft prevention. You can create that and tweak that so it's appropriate for your specific needs as far as the field that you're trying to break into. So as I've discussed before, you want to make sure that you realize that you got 150 characters. So it's kind of similar to Twitter in that you have to be very creative and use small, very strategic words and be very creative when you try to create these headlines. You want to make sure that you keep it fresh and up to date, so if your focus changes and you want to focus on a different area of IT, or you want to focus on a particular component, it's best to keep it fresh so that there's always new content and people will continue to keep visiting your profile. The best thing to do also is make sure that it flows seamlessly. You want to make sure that your headline all the way down to the end of the profile is in a seamless flow, and that's definitely a good thing if you're trying to to develop a very strong profile. So how do you optimize your summary? Your summary is the other big point. That's pretty much your bread and butter. What you've really got to stress what you do, and you talk about yourself. You want to keep it brief, but you still want to discuss what your interests are, what you're passionate about, particularly with the field of IT that you're in, and other important things as well. But specifically, your summary is used to describe who you are professionally, what you do professionally, and what you have done professionally. In our case, it's our studies, what we've done through extracurricular activities, the organizations that we've been involved with, and maybe some extracurricular activities we've done as well. Make sure that when you write this, the first sentence has punch, because we live in a world where people, you have the first couple seconds to whether people will read your stuff. So it's really important that you say something profound. An example that I've used for this seminar is, I live and breathe using technology as a tool to create efficiencies and increase productivity. Now, that's just an example. You can definitely get very creative as far as the something specific that would be more appropriate for your field. So also, in your summary, you want to make sure that there's as many keywords as possible. The reason being is that, as I've said before, LinkedIn is indexed through a lot of keywords. So the more keywords that you have for your industry, the more likely that recruiters and other people will visit your profile or see your profile. So just a couple things to add to the summary portion. You also want to make sure your summary is free of grammatical and spelling errors. Remember, it's like a resume, and it's public information, so everybody will see it. And if your writing isn't up to standard, then it's a reflection of you, and you probably won't do well as far as trying to get interviews and get yourself known. One of the best advice that I would have when you're writing these is make it like you're writing a cover letter for a job application, but kind of tailor it to where it talks about you personally as far as what you do professionally. Don't make it a story about your life, but make sure it's tailored to what you're interested in and what you're trying to go into. Also, the best thing that I recommend, there's a service out there, it's called Blue Sky Resumes. And Lois Fletcher, she actually gives a lot of great advice. Most of it is actually free. She does have some premium services, but she can actually give you a really good starting point of how to use LinkedIn as well in supplement to this seminar. So once you've developed an awesome summary, you're actually going to go ahead and move into your experience in education. And what you want to do is ensure that your experience is in chronological order. And you also want to make sure that you're clear about what you did in those positions, and make sure that you market yourself as you're writing about those experiences. And what do I specifically mean about that? As far as what I've provided, an example that I've used is if you were in a position as a student leader and you were trying to create some additional opportunities that would help your colleagues, you could do something as like that you created professional development opportunities for students that raise student involvement by 50%. And that shows that you're motivated and that you're able to talk to people and get them to go out and do certain things. So you're a motivator, and that's definitely a good good quality to have. So even if these positions that you have don't relate to your field, you want to make sure to put them down, because they're still experience and they could be something that the recruiter could say that you have, and that will help you in a particular position you're applying for. Now here comes the really big one, which is applications. LinkedIn's actually pretty cool, and it offers a huge amount of applications that you can use to better utilize your LinkedIn profile. And so you want to make sure that you have the appropriate applications on there. If you use Twitter, you can actually link your Twitter account so that you can keep up with that information, or you can post LinkedIn updates on your Twitter so that you can keep your Twitter base up to date if you use that for professional means. There's another one that I actually use personally that's really awesome. It's called box.net. And what I do, and one thing that I recommend for anyone from sophomore to senior, is to take a lot of the projects that you've done, whether or not you've been a team leader or something that you've been involved in, you go and post that information out there. You don't have to give them everything that you've done, but as far as the stuff that as far as the field that you're interested in, and that will actually help you so that the recruiters are able to see what you've done and able to understand more about your experience and how you would be a benefit to the organization. So if you want to, I know many people have their feelings about Twitter, but you can actually add a professional Twitter account so that you can update your followers as well. And if you want to blog about your experiences in college and what you're learning, and the reason why I bring this up is it'll actually show people how well you write, and can show them also they'll be able to know what kind of work that you've done throughout your school. Also, there are a couple things that you want to do that relate to your profile and will actually help you to better optimize it that are out actually in the real world, because as you know, as IT people, we definitely have to be able to have some soft skills and be able to communicate. So one of the things that I recommend is to make sure you have positive professional relationships with your professors. And I'm definitely a person that can attest to how beneficial this is, and I've had professors that have definitely helped me and have vouched for me for positions, for interviews, and also they've helped me to direct me in the right way that I needed to go for the career field that I was interested in. But as you come closer to your graduation, whether right now you may be a sophomore or a junior and you're not really there yet, you still want to keep doing that, because once you get to the the end, you'll be able to ask them for recommendations. And if you've worked hard and you've done a lot of good work in your courses, and also maybe some extracurricular activities, then it'll be a lot easier for them to write one, and it'll be a lot stronger because you do have some outside involvement as far as stuff that's outside of the classroom. So, but you also want to make sure that these people that you ask recommendations for, even though I know that you can put them on LinkedIn, or you can actually get recommendations on paper and then you can provide them at interviews, that's other things that you can do, is you want to make sure they really can vouch for you. You don't want to ask random people that you don't really have a strong relationship with. That definitely isn't a really good thing. They can't necessarily you want somebody that's known you, for a year or two, and they can really vouch for you. The other part I want to talk about is developing a professional network. So you're on LinkedIn, you're working on your summary, and you've got a pretty good, strong basis to start. So the easiest way, and you're kind of stuck there, you're trying to get connections, you're trying to grow your connections. The best way that I've found that you're able to connect with people is actually to get involved in LinkedIn groups. And groups are actually really awesome because there's a group for almost every job in IT, as well as other career fields that will help you to network with professionals in the field. You want to make sure that you ask appropriate and relevant questions. If you're interested, let's say you were interested in getting a job doing security compliance. You want to follow stuff like HIPAA and Sarbanes-Oxley. And if you're in security, you'll understand what I'm talking about. but you want to do something along those lines. So you would go out to different groups and you would say, hey, I'm interested in auditing and compliance. You say, what should I do as a IT person or as a student to know how to get into a position in my field? And so there'll be people that'll reach out to you and they'll give you advice. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, to be perfectly honest. And they'll definitely get you in the right direction of where you can start as far as getting some experience to get into those kind of fields. So with anything, there's definitely rules of the road, and most importantly, there's rules of the road for LinkedIn. So the first rule that I want to stress is make sure that you don't randomly connect with people. This is because LinkedIn actually takes or records the amount of times that a user will say that they don't know a person. And if you get enough of those associated with your account, then they'll actually bar you and ban you from LinkedIn, which is definitely not a good thing. The best advice is to get around this is to have connections come to you. Also, go through the current connections that you have and try to find people that are in your field or in the career field that you want to be in, and talk to your current connections and see if they'll introduce you. More often than not, if they're good connections, they'll be more than happy to do that for you. Also remember, quality over quantity. You want quality people that will help you to get where you need to go versus just a bunch of people that want to be connected. This isn't Facebook. We're here to do business, and we're here to be successful. And remember that, and you'll go far. So what are some insights? I've actually been using LinkedIn for about a year and a half, and I've been very successful. And I'll actually discuss with you more specifically how LinkedIn has been instrumental in some of my successes in gaining employment even before I graduate. So the one thing you want to realize is in the online world is that professionals are very busy, and LinkedIn can sometimes be tedious, or I guess the best way to explain it would be that sometimes it takes a while for professionals to respond on LinkedIn, and maybe a more direct approach would be an email. But realize if you're reaching out for the first time that they may not respond to you very quickly. It may take some time. So don't be impatient, and don't try to keep sending them messages and trying to contact with them because they may be really busy and they just can't get back to you at that time. Also, the other thing on LinkedIn is try to be more giving than asking. And what I mean by that is if there's somebody that has a question about something and you actually honestly have experience in it, don't say, oh yeah, I know ASP and I can code all this stuff for you. And I'm not saying do stuff for free, but if they have a question about something and it's not really that difficult for you to do, definitely try to help out when you can. It's kind of like contributing to the group, and it's really important. At the end of the day, the one thing I want to stress is remember, LinkedIn is a marketing tool. So you want to do as much as you can, read up as much about marketing yourself and personal branding, and that will really help you to develop a strong LinkedIn profile. As far as networking, the best way to network is to talk to people in person in your chosen career field. If you're in IT, you definitely want to talk to people in AITS and ISSA. There's a lot of opportunities. We actually go out and meet people in many different fields, whether you're interested in security, graphic design, networking, and they can give you advice as far as how to get into certain career fields that you're interested in. So I do have some other additional insights. For one thing you want to do is when you get in contact with some of these professionals, you want to make sure that you add a personal touch and give them a thank you card. If they do something specifically for you, like they give you some really good advice as far as job leads, or if they say that they'll introduce you to some of their contacts within their LinkedIn, you want to add a personal touch and send them a very nice thank you card and just thank them. And having that personal touch will really will really speak loudly of the kind of professional you are as a student, and definitely can sometimes they'll be willing to almost do anything or bend over backwards for you to help you find a position or find work. So the other thing I'd recommend is to develop some business cards, and you can develop them through some of the internships that you've worked with. Say you get involved with a nonprofit organization, you can create a title for yourself. Make sure that the nonprofit's okay with that title. Don't call yourself the CEO. It's not really a good idea to call yourself the CEO of a nonprofit. One thing I recommend is kind of put whatever you do and then put coordinator. So if, like, let's say you did some IT stuff, you could call yourself the IT coordinator, or you could call yourself, if you did like something like graphic design, you could call yourself the graphic design coordinator, or you can think of something more creative because, hey, you're graphic design. So, and also you want to make sure, I'm kind of stressing this, put your vanity URL in your email signatures. And that also too, you want to make sure you have a professional email, you know, not something like GA Dogs or something like that. You want to say something like, you know, C. Garrett or A. Goodman or something like that. Just get that as professional as possible so that they have a professional email to refer to. So, as I've discussed, we've gone through some really important material that will help you to utilize LinkedIn and help you to network, to connect with people, and most importantly, to be able to find jobs and develop professionally. And I just want to share with you some, I guess, some personal testaments of how effective LinkedIn really is, in addition to a lot of hard work and dedication to your career fields, what you're interested in getting into, and you know your student position here at Macon State. So many of you know that I've actually been working with the two student IT organizations here at Macon State, and I've actually been using LinkedIn heavily for the past year and a half. I've also been networking with professionals all across the country, particularly in Atlanta, Georgia, and to find work as well as to understand the field of information security, because that's what I'm interested in. And so I've been working to better understand that field and gain some actual experience that will help me to find jobs. So I actually put myself out there to get by volunteering for nonprofit organizations and applying a lot of my coursework as far as information security to get that experience, and helping nonprofits that they didn't necessarily think the way that, you know, we're taught to think about security and how it's important. So I actually went in and did some consulting and showed them what they needed to do to be more secure and how to protect their data and all the things, you know, CIA triangle, stuff like that. And so I actually ran into a guy, and his name, we regularly talk with up in Atlanta. And so he was actually on LinkedIn, and I'm a connection with him. And so there was a job that was posted out there, and that job was for a position doing some policy. And so I was really interested in policies and auditing and stuff like that, because I thought it was really cool, and that was kind of like my personal interest. And so I applied for the position. I let him know. I said, hey, can you reach out to some of your contacts, because they're in that second degree as we discussed. He said, yeah, sure. And so I got a phone call about a week later and had a quick interview, and then they said that we would put your information to the hiring manager. And so I had a call back from the hiring manager, and the hiring manager said, I'm very impressed with the hard work that you've put on your LinkedIn profile, your professional experience for the past 2 years, and I'd like to offer you a position at my company. I just would like you to come in and talk to our staff. And so I went in and discussed the specific things that I did related to compliance, which is the job that I was applying for, would deal with ensuring that companies were compliant. And I talked about how I solved challenges by fixing a lot of the different security challenges that the organization had. And so the team actually really liked me, and now I'm happily employed with this employer. So I just wanted to share with you guys that if you guys are willing to step outside of the classroom and think outside the box, and are willing to go out and get that experience, whether you're getting compensated or for not, it's an investment, and it will help you later and make the process of finding a job so easily. I mean, the interview was almost, I was so surprised at how easy it was. I didn't know that interviews could be that easy. And the reason why was because I put all the information and I showed them through my LinkedIn profile, utilizing it effectively and showing them all these different experiences that I had, whether I was working with kids to educate them about security, or whether I was locking down their network to ensure that they didn't have, or they were more secure in keeping all the bad guys out. So because of that work and that dedication and passion, they said that they were willing to take a chance with me. So though it was a little bit of a long story, I just wanted to show you guys that, yeah, LinkedIn is great, but if you have to definitely at the same time, you have to be willing to put in the work in order to develop that and make a very strong profile. So that's actually my presentation, and I would like to thank you guys for watching this seminar. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to post your questions in the comments feed, or find me on LinkedIn. Thanks for watching.